Hello everyone and welcome to a book review. This is for an ebook I just finished. I'm going to try and do things just a little bit differently with these book reviews. I'm going to try to do the review as soon as possible after finishing the book, because then I'm better equipped, where it's more fresh in my mind, to give you a better brief synopsis. So welcome to everyone that is new to my channel. So these book reviews are generally spoiler free. Now if I'm reading the third book in the series, there's always a chance that I might say something that could spoil the first books in the series. But outside of that, I am spoiler free. Now I will give you content warnings, trigger warnings. I'll start out with the kind of a brief overview of what the book's about, go into the warnings. At some point I'll say whether I enjoyed the book or not, and just kind of a very brief whether I enjoyed it, and word count. So if you're ever on the fence, some people avoid books due to certain content warnings or trigger warnings. Some people don't care about the content or trigger warnings, or maybe a book doesn't have something that's particularly bothersome to them as far as the content goes, but a certain word count may. So that's why I do the word counts. So, all right, so I did an ebook, and this one was a short story or a novella. The edition that I read was 133 pages, and it is titled Adam Gold. This was written by Sara J. Bernhardt, I'm guessing is how the name is said. The title is Adam Gold. This is book number 1 in a trilogy, and the series is called Behind Blue Eyes. This was published in 2018. I did listen to the audiobook along with this. The audiobook is narrated by Richard Bugg and is 3 hours and 25 minutes at standard one-time speed. I enjoyed this book. Keyword for this being vampires. Yes, this is a vampire short story. For this one, we are following Adam. His wife is named Mary, I think, or his daughter is named Mary. One of them's named Mary, I don't remember. Anyway, he has a wife and a daughter. They live in Switzerland. Shortly after marriage, the world is starting to change, and they need to move. They need to flee basically where they're from for a better life and for protection and all of that fun stuff. Fun stuff. Not really. Anyway, they need to move. Mary, or his wife, wants to move to Boston. So be it, they're moving to Boston. Now this is more kind of like a historical type fiction, because this takes place, it doesn't even say what century, but they do not fly or anything. They travel by boat. So I'm guessing it's several centuries older. Plus a lot of the women are wearing all these fancy dresses and stuff. So also because of the attire, I'm assuming I just don't know what century it takes place in. So they move to Boston, or they're in the process of moving to Boston. While on the ship from Switzerland to America, Adam is turned into a vampire. So he is struggling with what he's feeling and coming to terms with certain powers that he has and how to control things and things like that. Content warning on this. Okay, so, well, I'll come to that. So he is there on the ship with his daughter and his child, and then when he gets to Boston, he is learning to live as a vampire and coming to terms with himself, the good versus evil type of a thing, and you're seeing him struggle with that. One of the things that I really liked about this was the comment of how someone's blood will taste different than someone else's. So there, obviously with this being a vampire story, there's a lot of talk of blood. And when I talk about it being their blood tasting different, it's someone who's innocent, has an innocent life, that their blood tastes different than someone who has an evil life. So someone who is an adulterer, someone who goes around hurting people, plotting murders, leaves a bunch of harm in their wake. And how that blood has a very much richer depth and taste to someone that's innocent to the evils of the world. So a lot of good versus evil. Now, content warning, you have loss of a spouse, loss of parents, and a sick child. Okay, those are your content warnings. Scarlet fever is mentioned. So this is also a time when scarlet fever was a little bit more prevalent. So yeah, that's pretty much what the story is about. Him coming to terms with that. You know, love versus lust, hell versus heaven, God versus devil, you know, good versus evil. Okay, so again, so the content warnings, as I said, loss of parents, loss of spouse, sick child. And that's all the content warnings. Now, if you are squeamish with blood, do avoid this because blood is talked about quite a bit. Crying blood, blood from the ears, you know, things like that. So if you are squeamish with blood, then you may want to skip this with it being more prevalent. Just because vampires are in a book does not necessarily mean blood is as prevalent as it was in this particular book. One thing I did like about this, I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I personally really enjoyed it because I love stories about vampires. And I liked the discussion of good versus evil. When vampires have to feed, should they feed on the innocent or should they feed on the people that are evil? Or on rats type of a situation. I've read vampire books where it just talks about them feeding, but this one, they feed and you're seeing a lot of the blood. So, trigger warning for that as well. Okay. All right, let's go into the word count in case you're still on the fence for this particular book. The word God comes up 25 times, and I would say 98% of the time it is in a religious tone and discussion, if not 100% of the time. There might have been, or 99% of the time. So most of the time it is in a religious sense. The word bastard comes up 3 times. Hell, 5. Again, with this one, it's not really always in a religious sense. It's talking about, you know, sometimes it is, most of the time it is, but again, same thing. Okay. Damned 2 times and damn 2 times. I do separate them differently in this because it's like damned to hell versus, well, damn, that happened. So I do consider those 2 different, completely different meanings of that. The word orgasmic comes up 1 time. Now there is no sex in this, so orgasmic is just used like this was an orgasmic experience, okay? The word bitch comes up 1 time and breast 1 time. So that is it. Let me know, have you read Adam Gold by Sara J. Bernhardt? Are you interested in this, especially where it's a vampire short story? Is this something that you'd be interested in if you enjoy vampires? Let me know. And what is your favorite vampire story? Talk to me in the comments section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I'll talk to you later.